Nothing about this moment showed up on a transaction wire. No depth chart changed, no contract shifted, no statement was released. But quietly, something moved. Not inside the building, outside of it. Not from the team, from the people watching it. Because while the quarterback conversation in Cleveland sounded uncertain, the reaction around it suddenly didn't. And when those two things stop matching, that's usually when the story actually begins.
We're going to shake things up here a little different, man. I know a lot of people was talking about the Malik Willis, the Andrew Berry situation, but I want to shed light on a different story. The story being that the Cleveland Brown fans showed major love to their franchise quarterback, Shedeur Sanders. Now, we all remember Shedeur Sanders' house was broken into during the NFL season when he played in Baltimore. And after that game, he went on a press conference and he said, hey, look, man, some stuff was taken. If you guys want to send me some, send it to so-and-so P.O. box. Looked like a bunch of fans did that because he posted a YouTube video, which we're about to play in a second and react to, of him opening up some of the gifts that the fans...
The timing is the part that stands out. This wasn't just a feel-good moment of fans sending gifts to Shedeur Sanders after his home was broken into during the season. It happened while his standing with the team felt unclear. Publicly, the organization had already signaled competition. Andrew Berry made it known the quarterback situation would involve Deshaun Watson. Not dramatic language, not hostile language, but language that creates space. And in the NFL, space usually means uncertainty. At the same time, speculation around other quarterback options, including Malik Willis, added another layer. Nothing confirmed, nothing final. Just enough noise to suggest the position wasn't settled. That's the backdrop. Now place the fan reaction inside that moment. Hundreds of packages, messages of support, symbols of loyalty arriving physically, not digitally. And that matters, because NFL fan support usually shows up loudly in two places: jerseys and silence. But this wasn't either of those. This was active, this was personal, and it happened while the team's messaging remained cautious. Which raises a quiet question. What happens when a fan base starts signaling commitment before the organization does? NFL teams rarely operate emotionally. They operate structurally. Quarterback decisions follow patterns. Draft investment, contract weight, coaching timelines, ownership pressure, media expectations. Those forces usually align long before fans know the outcome. But there's another variable teams monitor closely, even if they never say it. Market reaction, not social media noise, not highlight clips, real engagement. When fans start attaching identity to a player, organizations notice. Not because it changes the football evaluation, but because it changes the environment around it. Support creates friction. It raises the cost of moving on. It complicates messaging. It shifts how decisions are received. Teams don't base moves on sentiment, but they absolutely account for it. Because quarterback transitions aren't just football decisions, they're communication decisions. And here's the subtle part. The Browns hadn't made any move. They hadn't declared a starter. They hadn't ruled anything out. But the fan base just made something visible. They weren't waiting for the team to define the relationship. They already had. That doesn't force a decision. But it does change how one feels when it arrives. And historically, when teams face that kind of dynamic, they don't react immediately. They observe. Because sometimes the most important information isn't performance. It's alignment. And right now, alignment in Cleveland feels incomplete. This situation isn't about heroes or villains. It's about timelines. Organizations move on strategic clocks. Fans move on emotional ones. Players live somewhere in between. When those clocks drift apart, tension builds quietly. If the team leans toward stability with Watson, they'll frame it as continuity. If they lean toward development, they'll frame it as patience. Either way, messaging will be careful, measured, controlled. But the fan reaction introduced something the team doesn't fully control: narrative ownership. Because the gifts weren't just support, they were signals. Signals that a segment of the fan base already sees Sanders as more than a developmental piece. And once that perception exists, it doesn't disappear easily. It doesn't guarantee opportunity. It doesn't guarantee role. It doesn't guarantee future. But it changes the context around every decision that follows. If he's elevated, it feels validated. If he's sidelined, it feels deliberate. If he's moved, it feels symbolic. That's the part teams try to manage quietly. Because the NFL isn't just about outcomes. It's about how those outcomes are interpreted. And right now, Cleveland may not have chosen a direction yet. But the environment around the decision is already shifting. Which leaves one lingering question. When the team finally does act, will they be responding to the roster or to the tone that's forming around it? Sometimes the most revealing moments in the NFL aren't trades, signings, or press conferences. They're the ones that happen off script. Because those moments show you not what a team says it believes, but what the people around it already do. And once that gap exists, it rarely stays quiet for long. So the real question now isn't what Cleveland will do. It's whether the story around the quarterback room is already moving faster than the decision itself. If you notice that shift too, stick around, because these are the moments that usually matter later.